Hi, and welcome to the Marketing for Book Coaches podcast. This is the place to be for you if you are a book coach trying to find your way in the tricky world of marketing. My name is Anne, and I am your host. Today, my guest is a voice actor and a coach. She spends her days using her voice to amuse and instigate. She narrated over 50 audiobooks, being a cat, a prince, a witch, and even a president. She will give us today her best tips to make your spoken words as impactful as your written ones in the business world. Get your earbuds ready to be blown away by the voice of Chris Keppeler. Good morning, Chris. How are you?
Oh, doing pretty good. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I really love that we're talking about something that is so seen as detailed, but that you will show us is actually so important in your marketing materials. But first question, how did you become a voice actor and a voice coach? And maybe more importantly, what exactly does a voice coach?
Well, I started out as an actor, and I was also a singer.
Oh, okay.
And someone said, you should try voiceover. And so I found someone, to get started and train with. And I just fell in love with it because I get to use both my acting and my singing skills when I step in front of the mic.
Oh, that's actually amazing. I've never thought about that voiceover. That yes, you probably have to do that acting as well.
Yes.
And so now you help other people as well to like put their voice. How does that work?
Yeah, I help other people. I especially concentrate on authors who would like to self-narrate, but they're not quite sure where to get started. They're not sure. Well, a lot of people don't realize the effect on your voice if you're standing in front of a mic for hours, because that's what an audiobook is, standing in front of a mic for hours. And so I really enjoy, helping authors. I recently worked with an author, and she had written a memoir, but each chapter started with a poem that she had written. And she knew how to handle her story in the chapters, but had no idea. It's like, how do I make my poems different from just telling my story, which was pretty straight narration. And so that was and so we talked about with her poems, she needed to put more emotion behind the words because the poems were so emotional and personal to her that she needed to put that personal feeling into that poem.
I love that that idea because it reminds me of book coaches in the marketing materials. Like more and more we're told, oh, do those little videos because that's what people now have. But
Yes.
How do you set your voice, for example, for a 2-minute video about a certain specific topic, and how to use your voice when you have a podcast of like a half an hour? This is very different marketing techniques, marketing materials.
Yes.
So where do you start here as a book coach of like, I really want to do an impactful video with my voice, but also a podcast, knowing that I took two different marketing materials?
With video is very personal and intimate. So you want to use your voice in a very personal and intimate way. I mean, you're talking to your client or your possible client directly. And so you're going to put a little more, and how you feel about what you can offer them. It's about the emotions behind it. But you don't want to go overboard.
Like,
Let's not go
I love you.
it's just a, being authentic It's very much about being authentic. You don't need to push it. You don't want to push your voice ever. You don't
When you
need to
say push your voice, it's like screaming or yelling or being like,
screaming, yelling,
oh,
or I can do this for you.
yeah,
No, no,
yeah. So no, thank you, thank you.
no. This is just, hey, this is me. I love, coaching authors, and here's how I can help you. It's that kind of, it's a very intimate. Videos are very intimate. And with a podcast, it's, it's a little more professional, certainly less intimate, especially if you're talking with a host and you've got a general audience out there, but you're not really speaking to one person, because with a podcast, you don't always know
Who's
exactly.
listening? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So you'd want to be a little more professional, but still very authentic. But it's more of a, you don't want to be monotone, but it's still not that intimate. It's still just telling people about yourself in a very casual, relaxed way. That's
And how do you know what is your authentic voice? Like, because this makes me think, I speak Flemish. When I speak Flemish in public, people are literally backing away because they tell me it's very aggressive. It scares the hell out of them. So how do you say, oh, okay, this is my authentic me, this is my
yeah,
authentic voice?
yeah.
Because we were making a joke as well on that person of like screaming at, but if that is like your brand, your voice of like, I'm the,
If that's your brand, then go with it. Because you don't want to tiptoe around, and then you get with a client and they discover you don't tiptoe around.
exactly. I think that's probably the worst, right?
So if you've got a more aggressive stance, then go with that, because
So then,
yeah,
so
your client is going to have to be comfortable with that when you're working with them. So
it's what you're actually saying is like, you have to think about your own brand, how you are, but then also who is your audience. That, for
yes,
example, the video, it has to be more personal,
yes,
a less aggressive, more tuned down, softened
yes,
voice. If that is not your brand and you're a little bit more aggressive, like you have some of those business coaches out there, and it's really like or the book coaches as well, of like, yes, my thing is to get things done.
yes.
Can you also have a mix, for example, that in one video you have a voice a little bit more tuned down, and then another voice, like video, a little bit more?
Yeah, it would depend on the script that you're using. So you want to bring out what your message is in your script. So you need to pay attention to that. And if your script calls for a soft voice, and this is what you'd like to say, then you do it that way. But if your script goes into, this is what I'm about and that's what I want to do, then you change the tone.
We need that more persistent
Adjust
and
the
more
tone
direct.
based on your script and the message that you want to get across.
And how do you know that it's right? Like you have found the right tone of voice?
It's when you feel comfortable. You should never feel uncomfortable when you're speaking. Never feel uncomfortable when you're speaking. And I think it's, what's the marketing? What's the reception? Did people like it? Did people not like it?
Is it like the kind of thing that you say, test out your voice? Maybe I'm thinking, because this is like something we say, something like in marketing in general, of like, test out this format or test out that format.
Yes.
Would you say try out the same thing with your voice, like
yes,
softer
your
voice,
voice,
less director voice?
your voice is very much part of that. Yes. And the tone that you're using. And the tone that's going to attract, your best client is what you're looking for. So,
Yeah, I love this idea of like, yes, the voice is important, but you have to put it in the context, and all those elements are important. Then the voice is not less important than, for example, knowing who is your audience. You have to have the two so that you can have that
yes,
connection between the
yes,
two.
yes, yeah.
Are there techniques to tailor or like change your voice? Coming back to my example of the Flemish, little bit aggressive. I know in English
Uh-huh.
I have to tune it down, and I tune it down.
Uh-huh.
But is this something that you can like learn, or that I learned it through situations, but not everybody has that, that feedback, and you don't necessarily want that feedback. But is there a way, if, for example, Book is watching us or hearing us, and she's like, oh, my voice, I have to realize it's very monotone. Can I change that in different way?
Oh, yeah, you can, yes. Sometimes just listening. I think listening to others, especially that you like their tone, or you like the way they're handling that script, that's a good way to learn how to adjust. And listening to your own voice. I know people hate a lot of people hate listening to their
I know.
voice.
Yeah.
And
Do you love hearing your voice, or you had to also get over that of like hating to listen
no,
to your voice?
you got to get over it. You got to get over it. I hated when I first heard myself. It's like, ugh. And there's still times that I go, but
that reassures us. If even the specialist is still having that issue, there's still way to go.
yeah, but you need to get used to listening. Listen to your voice. How are you coming across? And listen to people that you like, that, what they're saying attracts you, what their tone attracts you. Then you can train yourself. You don't want to copy their tone, but you want to train your ear to, bring out the script in that way, with that tone, your script in that way, in that tone. So, and certainly don't try and pitch your voice weirdly to copy someone else. Because you could injure your voice doing that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Using vocal fry. Oh, that's terrible. Yeah. Just be careful how you use your voice. If it hurts while you're speaking at all, it's bad. It's bad, and you're going to injure your vocal cords. So, yeah.
So it always comes back to that, respecting your audience, but also respecting yourself of what you want to.
You want to your voice should rest up here. I know that's weird. And this is very much a singing technique.
So for those who are listening to us on the podcast, what is Chris doing is that she's putting her fingers under the eyes.
Under my eyes.
Yes. Saying that the voice should be under your eyes.
Yes.
So can you give a bit more explanation? Because I'm showing it and I'm seeing it, but I'm like, putting my voice under my eyes.
It's when you think about starting your voice, think about starting it. You don't start it from your throat at all. You don't do anything to your throat. You think my voice starts here right under my eye. It's like, I actually feel that vibration under my eye. I don't feel that vibration. It doesn't start in my throat. Yeah, it doesn't start in my throat. And I also do that when I'm speaking, and especially if I need to speak louder, but I don't want to strain my vocal cords, I am speaking from underneath It's called The Mask. It's called The Mask.
And here we have an example of what Chris can do as a voice coach. Okay, so we do just, think about like
Yes.
having it in like under the eyes.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm bad at singing and anything.
And you can make your voice very loud that way without straining your vocal cords.
Oh, that is a good one to know as well. Yeah, because sometimes,
Yes.
we always have the impression, like I always had the impression it comes out of the throat. So
No,
this is really something to keep in mind.
Yeah.
I know we talked a lot about copy, and that immediately made me think about what happened with Scarlett Johansson, because she got, well, they say they didn't copy her voice, but
Yeah.
it seemed apparently that that one of the OpenAI chatbot voices was very close to Scarlett Johansson. So
Yeah.
I'm wondering, is this actually worth the while that we work on our voice? Because if now we can just put in a voice fragment in one of those AI tools and they do it for us, is it even necessary that we still are doing podcasts and in life? Or
I don't. If you want to sound real and authentic, no, I don't. It's AI is, you need to be very careful with it. And especially if you want to clone your voice, you need to be very careful about what they're going to do with your voice, and you need to make sure in your contract that they can't just use the copy for whatever they want to.
Yes, yeah, but now, like, sometimes, for example, I was given the advice with someone, and she's like, why are you even recording your podcast? You just script that and you put it in one of those tools, and it's amazing to see. You put it in the tools, and indeed,
Yes,
the tool is recording your podcast in your voice. So I didn't try it because I share your concerns of, like, I give my voice to a company and I have no idea what happens with
what
that.
they're going to do with it.
Yes,
do you really want to find yourself reading porn?
Oh, dear. And that is a whole other conversation. How do you read porn?
Because it's happened already. There's lawsuits out there about it.
Oh, seriously? I didn't know.
Yeah.
But I think some people are just not aware of, like, the concerns, and will put their voice on there. But do you think it really will give that authenticity? Because, like you say here, we're really talking about, think about your audience, think about the marketing material that you're developing, adapt your voice. Do you think that AI will ever get to that level of being able to do that for you?
There's a certain blandness to it. Even with your own voice, it doesn't have that, gee, I really wanted to make it, I really wanted to do this here, but the AI won't do that. It won't pitch my voice here in that manner that I wanted to get across that idea. It still lacks that. I think if you really lacks some authenticity, but if you don't really care, I just think the most important thing is that you need to make sure that if you give them your voice and they copy it so you can use it, that they don't get to use it however they like, because you might not like the way they use it.
Yeah, no, I didn't even think about that one. I was like, yeah, who would even use my voice? But then you're absolutely right. It's not, not only Scarlett Johansson has these problems. We can all have them.
Oh yeah, we can all have that problem. Yes.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
And I love what you say about, you come so much and you insist so much on that word authenticity. And that is something I think AI, even if it's written voice or whatever you use it still doesn't have that perfect 100% authenticity that you can bring.
No, it doesn't. Yeah.
But so that comes back that, well, if you want to be authentic, you need to record your own voice. But some of us can get very nervous. Like, if it's the first time you record a video, it's the first time you record a podcast, the voice can go up and down in every single direction. Do you have a couple of tips on how to keep calm and steady while still having that authentic voice during recordings?
I record funny little shorts on my YouTube channel. And
I will put the link to her YouTube channel in the description. It's indeed very funny, so go have a look.
And yeah, you expect to get nervous. I've done lots of expect to get nervous. It's just part of, in fact, you probably don't want to not be nervous, because then you do come across as bland and monotone, and you don't want that. So I still get nervous. What I do is, because I'm usually doing it off the cuff, which is not, something that's probably my forte. But because I prefer scripted stuff. But I just do it because it's a short, it's got to be, less than 60 seconds. I just, stand there and practice.
Practice.
Say what I want to say several times until it sounds at least close to what I want. Yeah. It just takes, practice. And I'm holding my phone up, watching myself and hearing myself. And so I find that helps too. It's
So holding the phone in front of you so that you can see and watch yourself and hear
see what I'm doing, what it looks like, what I'm so, and I just do it. I usually end up doing it several times, so that usually that works the best for me.
So a little exercise is that if you're very nervous, you start, that's actually a good thing. You keep up your phone, you're watching it, and you try to record a funny thing for 60 seconds until you feel comfortable to get on your video podcast or whatever voice-based marketing material that you're recording. That's actually a great one.
They are really, that's a great way to just,
to get the nerves out, I would say. Because I've never thought about, because sometimes, people, they will spend hours and hours on recording podcasts and videos, but this could actually be a good technique just to, have that first 60 seconds, have your nerves out there, and then get back on what you really need to record.
Yeah. And you probably need to do it several times, especially if you're really nervous. But as you keep going, you'll get less nervous. So,
yes, that's what I was going to say as well. It's good to do this exercise, but don't use it as a procrastination technique. At one point, you have to just get it out, and
don't use it.
But I can really see, for 2 hours you're doing the 60 seconds comedy things, and then you have still not recorded anything. So.
That's probably not a good idea. You need to have a time limit.
A time limit, yeah. But I think it's a great exercise. So I would say definitely this is something I will try myself as well, to have those 60 seconds when I'm very nervous, record something, get the nerves out, and then get back to what I really want to record.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for that tip. You were talking about scripts and off the cuff. So in your experience, is it better to have scripted or off the cuff or something in between, or will this really depend on the person?
It really depends on the person. Some people are really good at off the cuff, and then go with that. If you prefer scripted, you probably should stick with, unless that's really difficult, and then you'll either have to memorize or just
there are the prompters, right? So I think it's what the concern might be is that it becomes very monotone, because you're reading from your sheets,
so,
and then
you don't, you want to stay away in scripted stuff from just reading it like you're reading a book or something like that, because then it's no. You have, when you're doing scripted stuff, you have to work even more to bring out the emotion behind that script. So off the cuff, it's probably not quite as difficult, but
But you need to know what you want to say.
yeah, you need to know what
Off
you
the
want.
cuff, sometimes it's like
Yeah, you need to know what you want to say with off the cuff. So generally that brings out a little bit more animation and stuff. But with scripted, you really have to think about what do I want to convey emotionally? What feeling do I want to convey with this script? And that will keep you out of reading mode.
it's, yes, exactly. That's one of those things we need to be very careful.
Yeah.
Chris, I really love have this conversation with you, and I could ask like another 100 questions. But we have to come to a close at one point or another. So my last question would be, can you share a memorable experience from your experience as a voice coach or author, where the power of voice really came through?
Wow.
Oh, that's like the big question. How to put you on the spot. This is off the cuff. You're going to show your authentic voice.
Oh yeah. Oh, it was I guess what comes to mind is a recent I belong to the Creators Society, which is an animation society, and they have a special contest once a year where they use voice actors and animators and storyboard people and composers, and we make a little animated movie. And I was chosen as the narrator for this little movie, and it was a little story, and they said, sort of do the, I went with sort of the grandmotherly, you know, let's go with this. This is a really nice story about um, two people who are trying to find the best way to dance together. And so, and our film didn't win a prize, but one of the producers who was judging the film said, "Oh, that sounds like reading Rainbow." So I got compared to.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Haven't you know? It's a very nice compliment. You have a rainbow voice.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. Thank you so much, Chris, for coming on the podcast. So I'd like to finish with this wrap up of what we've discussed in the podcast. And in your case, I would definitely like to come back to that example where you said, okay, I had this actor, this author, and she wanted to read her memoir. And there's a very different way of reading the poem at the beginning of the chapter and the chapter itself. Exactly something that we can use in the business world. You have to really think, okay, am I reading a poem where I'm directly being in contact with my writers, selling them my services, talking to them about who I am? Or am I, for example, doing something more general in which I will use another voice?
Yes.
Where can we find you if we want to work with you or we want to learn more about you and get more techniques?
Well, you can always go to my website, chriskeppeler.com. And you can find me on social media. It's really easy to find me. I have a rather unique name. And so if you type in Chris Keppeler in Google, my website and all sorts of stuff, including my IMDb page, up, and you can follow me on X, formerly Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. Yeah.
All over the place. We can hear your voice all over the place. Um, don't bother going on Google. You can just go in the description, and there you have all the links from Chris. Well, thanks again, Chris. So this is a wrap for today's episode of Marketing for Book Coaches. If you enjoyed our chat and you want more of this business tips and tricks, don't forget to sign up for my newsletter. You'll get exclusive content, and even more importantly, you'll be the first to know when you can get on the wait list for my group program that opens shortly, and where we dive into mastering marketing together. You will find the links again in the description. Until next time, keep those pens moving and those voice strong. Thank you so much, Chris. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.